Hi, this is Dan from Watchmaker Appliance Repairs, and this is the newer style display, or one of the newer style displays on the Fisher and Paykel washing machines throughout the late 2010s into the early 2020s. As of the end of about 2023, they've now brought out a whole new series, so everything's changed again. But if you've got a display that looks like this, may or may not have this dial here, then the diagnostics are a bit different. One of the main differences you'll pick up is that they haven't got the push buttons, physical push buttons that they had on all the other smart drives. These are touch sensitive, capacitor sensitive pads. So things are a bit different on this. So to start off with Tender Diagnostics, we're going to start with it, wash temp and key lock. Now power needs to be on, whereas before in the smart drives we had to have power off. Later on we had the power off as well for a different setting. So we press wash temp and key lock, and after a few seconds it changes, and we have the same kind of levels we did before, whereas before we press the start or the spin button to scroll through the levels. Here we can use the plus or minus to scroll through diagnostic level 01, 02, 03, etc. When we pause on a number, then it immediately changes to tell us the result of that number. I'll put a quick screenshot in showing you what the different levels are. So if you haven't got the 0 here, then the negative button, sorry, then you can just scroll through in one direction. You don't have to have the plus or the minus. You should have at least the plus button and just be able to use that. So DOO is the first one, is user warning. So that's number 3. And if you have a look in the user manual, we'll put another screenshot up. That means out of balance code. 01 is the cycle count that it happened at, 434. And then the cycle position that it happened at. Basically what they do is they have up to 6 positions. Position O is fill or idle. 1, 2, 3 is different stages of the agitate. 4 is rinse, 5 is deep rinse, and 6 is spin. So they're kind of similar to how we used to have the lights. It would click across on the earlier smart drives, and it would show you what physical lights were showing when it faulted. So telling you what position it's in there. So what we want is we want DO3 for a fault code. So we've got a fault code 39, and that was at cycle count 428 at position 0, which is the standby position. Now there's various other things like the current temperature. One thing to be aware of, see 43 degrees. Every single machine of these I've checked, the temperature sensor overreads by approximately, or between 15 and 20 degrees. It always reads hotter temperature. So I've seen some of these filling on hot water where it says the water temperature is 110 or so degrees, which is above boiling because we're talking about Celsius here. And that's obviously not physically possible. So if you want to do a hot wash or a warm wash, there's a bit of a problem because 43 degrees will be warm, and this is just with cold, this will be cold water only coming in. So you get 20 degrees when you're asking for 43, and basically it's all out of kind of calibration. I've tried new sensors, I've tried new control boards, it's all the same. So I think that the calibration of the controllers for what temperatures it's expecting does not match up, but it's across all the model in this series. The one way to get around that is to run the allergy cycle. I believe that's the cycle that will run the hottest out of all of them if you want to actually get a true hot wash. Otherwise, even on the hottest setting, you will only get a warm. Anyway, so that's our cycle temperature. We then have our current cycle count, so 435. If we go back to number 4, which told us the cycle count of the last fault, 428. So it's had 6-7 cycles since the last fault. And then we can compare that to the user warning as well. Current bowl speed, we have water level, which should be, that's at 0. Now bowl float, this is an interesting one. So while it's washing, you can also press those buttons into diagnostics, look at the current temperature, hop through to have a look at the bowl float. These fill up a little bit different to how the old smart drives did in that they give a little bit of a pulse as they're going, and it's checking to see exactly what level that bowl floats at, and then it's using that in combination with the sensing agitates to determine how big a load is in there. Whereas they used to just use the sensing pulses, where here they're checking exactly where that bowl floats to be able to determine water level. The next whole bunch of codes are all for in the factory use, and we don't have a description of what they do. If we go back one to 51, that's the model ID code, which we'll talk about. I'm putting another video together on size setting for all the different models as to what model size set, because it's not just size setting on these, you're also setting the model features change quite a lot more than what they used to, so you're setting that as well. So that's how we go through diagnostics. And then for the component test, it's a little bit more of a process. So what we're doing is we are going to select different cycles and then press buttons. So on the regular cycle here, if I press the temperature button, wash temp, so that's one water valve there. Spin does the other water valve, and then options will do the detergent valve. Now to test the next ones, we have to click around to the next setting, and then once again, temperature will give us the final valve, because this one's got the dispenser on it. It's the Eco model, being a Cleansmart. And then we have we've got the wash boost valve on spin. Reset the hot bowl flag, we don't need to worry about that. We go around to delicate cycle. This is where we can run the drain pump in either drain or recirculation. So we can do drain there, or we can also run the recirculation, which will take a few seconds on this because this hasn't got the reversing pump. This has got the wax actuator. So that's going to make sure the wax actuator heats up and changes across. And then finally, if we go to sheets, this is where we can turn our recycle on and off with the temperature button. Actually, let's go back to there, turn that off. Go to sheets. So we can turn recycle on and off and restart on and off. So recycle's off, restart is on. As I've mentioned on these videos, the restart is where it gets a fault and it tries several times before carrying on. The recycle is where it gets into the wash and goes back and does the wash again, which is just purely for diagnostics. So usually you want the restart on, so it tries 2 or 3 times before it finally gives up. And you want the recycle off, so it doesn't just wash continuously, get the clothes dry and go back to the beginning. So that's the standard settings there. The main one you're going to want to do is look for that D03, and the fault code numbers are the same as the smart drives, just with the extended codes for depending on which pump, diverter valve, water valves, those kind of settings there, but all the rest of your fault codes are the same. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to put them in the comments box down below. I do try and check up and answer any questions every couple of days. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.